You learned to say sorry before you knew your favorite color. You learned to scan rooms like weather radars, reading faces for storms you didn't start. That's how guilt sneaks in, wearing a name tag that says responsible, but it's just a shadow that found your light. And when people cheered your caretaking, it hardened into identity. You weren't born guilty, you were trained. Control feels like protection until it suffocates. So here's the promise of tonight. We're going to separate your light from their shadow, not with blame, but with truth. I'll share Maya's story, then talk to you directly. We'll pull guilt out by its quiet roots and practice new language your body can trust. By the end, you'll feel a little more sun on the floor, not fixed, freer. The shadow was never yours. Maya grew up in a house where silence meant danger. Doors weren't slammed, but looks were. When her mother sighed, Maya's hands shook. When her father withdrew, she became the bridge. That's the word she used later, bridge. But bridges get walked on. In high school, she kept the peace, absorbed friends' messes, apologized for weather she didn't make. By college, guilt wasn't a feeling, it was policy. Here's what guilt does. It steals your timeline. Something goes wrong, and before reality even forms, the script hits play. What did I do? How do I fix it? Your light dims, their shadow spreads, and because you're generous and quick, people get used to you holding what they dropped. They call it maturity. It's unpaid labor. Micropsychology. Guilt is control wearing a halo. If it's your fault, then maybe you can prevent it next time. That sounds safe. But it's a cage. You start planning around imaginary dangers, not real needs. You shrink your laugh. You edit your opinions. You say yes to avoid aftershocks. I know someone who said, I smiled when I wanted to scream. I know someone who whispered, I made myself small so they wouldn't leave. Maya told me. I didn't recognize myself anymore. That's the cost. You become weatherproof and joyless. Light can't find you there. The problem isn't that you care. It's that you were asked to carry what wasn't yours, then praised for never putting it down. So the problem isn't you. It's the deal you were offered. Which part fits you right now? Tell me in the comments. Here's the thing though. Guilt rarely arrives alone. It comes with a story. If they're upset, I failed. If I rest, I'm selfish. Somewhere, someone handed you those lines. Maybe it was a parent's exhaustion. Maybe a partner's sulking. Maybe a culture that confuses obedience with love. Over time, your nervous system linked brightness with backlash. Light drew shadow. So you dimmed. It worked, kind of. Fewer conflicts, fewer unpredictable storms, but also fewer yous. The body keeps score in tiny flinches, jaw tight, breath shallow, that quick scan for safety. Shame borrows your voice to sell its story. And you believed it because it felt like home. Maya did. When her mum cried, Maya performed tenderness like a job. When friends ghosted, she sent check-ins. She trusted the pathway of repair, even when she wasn't the one who broke the bridge. And people learned. They become dependent on your apology. They become allergic to accountability. That's not on you, but it lands in you. Quietly. Take a breath. But here's what nobody tells you. Guilt gives certainty. If it's your fault, you know what to do. Apologize. Fix. Overfunction. Certainty is intoxicating when you grew up in weather. Uncertainty feels like shadow, so you keep choosing responsibility as a flashlight. It works until it burns your hand. Maya's counselor asked, "What's the exact clause you signed?" She wrote, "If I'm good, they won't leave." There it was, the false contract. Love becomes a test with no passing grade. Every good deed resets the meter to zero, exhausting. And when someone finally thanks you, the praise binds tighter than any rope. The psyche learns, overgive to avoid the cliff. Psychology in plain words. Control shields you from surprise, not from loneliness. Meanwhile, the people who benefit get comfortable. They don't need to grow if you're always the cushion. They become used to the dark. They become suspicious of your light. When Maya stopped apologizing for things she didn't do, someone called her cruel. That's how you know a contract is false. It punishes truth. Then quiet. So what's the move? We start with language the body believes. This belongs to me. This does not. Maya practiced sentences in a mirror. Her hands trembled, her shoulders dropped half an inch. She said, I'm willing to talk when we can both own our part. Light, simple. When a friend texted, you made me feel ignored, she replied, I care about you. I also needed downtime. I won't apologize for resting. That's not cruelty. That's clear weather. The first time you say something like that, your chest tightens. Old alarms scream. You'll want to sprint back into the shadow, but repetition rewires. Boundaries are not walls, they're windows that open and shut. Naming the shadow doesn't attack anyone. It just points the flashlight where it belongs. Over time, you'll notice guilt morphing into grief. Grief for all the versions of you that carried everything. That's honest sadness, not moral failure. It's the weight leaving. It sounds like breath. Take a breath. Here's the thing though. You don't stop caring when you stop caretaking. You just stop bleeding for free. Maya began asking different questions. What's mine to carry? What would care look like without self-erasure? Sometimes it meant a ride to the airport. Sometimes a boundary before burnout. Light isn't loud. It's consistent. She made repair a two-way street. I'll own my part if you own yours. And when someone refused, she didn't chase. That's the hardest part. The pause after you step back. The room feels darker at first because your eyes are adjusting. Stay. Your pupils know what to do. Unexpected outcome. Joy returns in small, stubborn ways. Music in the kitchen. A laugh you didn't police. A text you didn't explain 3 times. Maya realized, I can love and still choose me. That's not selfish. That's how love survives. People who can meet you in the light will stay. The rest will name your truth distance because they miss the old access. Let them. Space is honest. Then, quiet. But here's what nobody tells you. The world sometimes rewards your guilt. Workplaces call it initiative. Families call it being the rock. Culture claps when you glow for others and punish when you warm yourself. Expect pushback, not because you're wrong, but because systems prefer free labor. When Maya stopped staying late, just in case, a manager hinted she wasn't hungry. She said, I'm hungry for a balanced life. The room didn't clap. Light anyway. Friends who loved her availability felt the shift. One said, You've changed. She smiled. I hope so. Growth looks like disloyalty to the past. It isn't. It's loyalty to the you that finally arrived. On hard days, you'll hear the old chorus. If I don't hold it, it'll all fall. It might. Let what's weak fall. What's true stands. And if someone says you're cold, remember, temperature is relative to entitlement. Keep your warmth. Keep your light. They become brave in your presence. They become honest, or they leave. Both are blessings. Breathe with me. Let's talk about the turn. It doesn't happen in a speech. It happens in a room with stale coffee smell and a cold phone in your hand. You don't race to answer. It happens when your fingers hover over sorry and choose something else. You start by naming the weather in your body, jaw tight, chest buzzing, shoulders high, and saying out loud, I feel scared. I'm still choosing me. Then try a boundary you can keep, small enough to repeat. I can't talk tonight, but I'm free Saturday. Notice the flinch. Let it pass. You're not abandoning anyone. You're stepping out of shadow. Next, practice returning, what isn't yours. I hear you're upset. I'm open to my part, I won't hold yours. You'll want to add extra words to soften it. Don't. Softness is in the steadiness, not the paragraphs. On hard days, build a script you can reach for when panic rises. I care and I need time. Say it twice until your breath slows. If you forget and overgive, that's not failure, that's data. You course correct. You text, I overcommitted. I'm adjusting. Your shoulders drop a little more. And when someone tries the old doorway, guilt as a key, you change the lock gently. That doesn't work for me anymore. A sensory anchor helps. Sunlight on the floor, warm mug in your hands. Let your eyes find that light when the shadow crowds in, and ask for repair that includes both of you. I'll fix my part if you fix yours. If they won't, you choose distance without drama. That's not cruelty. It's alignment. You'll want the cage again. That's okay. Familiar isn't the same as safe. The moment you start believing your worth is not a receipt for other people's comfort, your breath steadies. The moment you stop auditioning for kindness, your voice returns. The moment you choose a smaller yes so you can keep your whole light, you come home. If this landed, save this video. Tell me in the comments, what's your 5% today? You were never born with this weight. Someone handed you shadow and called it love. You carried it like oxygen because that's what kids do to survive. But survival isn't the destination. This is. The day you stop apologizing for existing. The day sorry becomes sacred again only when it's yours. The moment you start returning what never belonged to you, you get to keep what does, your light. People will resist. They become louder when access shrinks. They become quieter when accountability grows. Stay steady. You can be warm and still say no. You can be loving and still leave. You can be kind and still keep your day. Subscribe so you don't miss it. From shadow to light, from guilt to ground, from carrying to becoming.